Welcome in to the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast. You can probably hear the energy in my voice, feeling a lot better, or maybe you can hear my voice, which is a lot nicer. If you're into that sort of thing, of course, I'm the real underscore G Warner across all social media platforms. Please hit the follow button wherever you see me. Also, could certainly handle some new subscribers on YouTube at the real underscore G Warner, on Instagram at the real underscore G Warner, and on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. 5-star reviews are also great, plus comments. We're going to go through the Wednesday knockout round of the Champions League, specifically just Wednesday. Going to find a best bet to come end of show. Also going to go through each of the matches, two advanced numbers, all those sort of things. Should be a little bit more competitive today, or maybe it shouldn't be, based on how Tuesday ended up. But going through all that's out there, going to see what lines have moved and try to get some winners on our card for tomorrow. So let's start in the early matchup, which I believe is Borussia Dortmund visiting Atalanta. Let's get there right now. So Atalanta quarter goal favorites right now in the 11:45 Central Time start, which is what time? 12:45 Eastern. Easy for me to do occasionally, especially because I grew up over there. In terms of where this no juice is pretty heavy on the Atalanta side, which should be because they're down 2-0 on aggregate. For those of you that don't know the rules, you need to match the amount of goals that your opponent scored in order to hit extra time or win in regulation. No road goals matter more than home goals like they used to, but still means something. Total in this one is 2 3/4. Just pretty heavily to over at the moment, expecting goals. I think we would in most of these matches, especially because Atalanta need two of them just to force extra time. Borussia Dortmund more defensive in Champions League than they are in the German Bundesliga. They could probably they would enjoy a goalless draw. They'd like a 1-0 loss even more than well, I guess not more than a goalless draw. They'll be a lot more nervous in that type of situation. But to me, there's not a lot of safety on Dortmund because if they lose by a single goal, they're celebrating, moving through to the next round of the Champions League. And that makes Atalanta kind of look like a cheap favorite to me at this point, though first leg clearly didn't go their direction. In terms of two advanced numbers, so current number, Atalanta plus 416 to advance. I do have some math done out already, and let's see if I can update that even further. So, where is this move? So, initially, we had Dortmund a very slight minus 125 favorite, a lot because they had second leg at home. Atalanta minus 105 the first time. There hasn't been much movement since I've been tracking it. So plus 416, where Atalanta initially minus 650 was Borussia Dortmund. That number has stayed the same, about an 80% difference on the Dortmund side. And when you cross zero, it's a little bit whacked based on my math, but it's got 125% on Atalanta. And that's probably something that we shouldn't be too surprised about because ultimately that's likely how this will go. With that all said, Borussia Dortmund are a different team away from home. So it's a big test for them. Um, I think Niko Kovac has been a great addition. If Bayern Munich weren't having such an incredible season, we probably would be talking about him for maybe manager of the year or one of the best managers in the world. But when your biggest rival in your home country wins every match, it's really hard to do much about that. In terms of leans for this matchup, I'm not really sure that I have much to say because ultimately I probably want to back Dortmund more than anything. And I don't know that there's a lot in this spread right now that I want to, unless I think they're going to go win on the road because a single goal loss when they're advancing and Atalanta are celebrating, that doesn't really work out very well. High total probably makes a little bit more sense. This one trending towards 3. I guess if I got a gun to my head, pick something in this matchup. If you want some action in the early one, maybe the under is a little bit interesting, especially if it gets to 3, so you get that push on there. Problem is, Atalanta are going for goals. Borussia Dortmund are great in the counterattack. Karim Adeyemi might be an anytime goal scorer shout. That might be interesting to potentially look at. But I think that's really all I can do in this one, and we'll move to the next, and that is Real Madrid and Benfica. A lot of drama, to say the least, and you can always say that with Vinny Jr., but this time, apparently an opponent dropped a monkey chant or said it under his jersey. Literally put, if you're watching on video on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, you can still hear me because I have a microphone in my face, but apparently one of the Argentines who aren't exactly known for being racially sensitive, yeah, said under his shirt, called him a mono or a monkey in Spanish. So That's wild. And Vinny Jr. tried to get the team to walk off the pitch. I guess since the guy didn't admit to it, said he was saying something different, is what it looked like to me on the camera. Well, we saw 12 minutes of stoppage time. They actually played 13. Yet Benfica survived. No one was, I guess, thrown out, ejected, red carded, or anything like that. But Benfica lost 1-0 at home after winning in the league phase. But Real Madrid played a little bit more attention, had a better managerial situation. So that's all helped. In terms of numbers here, though, Real Madrid are a much smaller favorite than they were when I was initially tracking this. They'd moved from 1.25 goal favorites now down to just 3 quarters, which is a little bit alarming or puzzling to me, just because I always expect Real Madrid to get bet. There is more juice on the Real Madrid side, but that's still something that we've crossed one, and it's pretty significant. So I'm always was interested in Benfica, backed them in the first leg and under, so split there, and backed Benfica and under in the first time they met, split there during the league phase. But total in this one is 3. It's juiced a little bit more to over. That's also come down a little bit. So I feel like there's a lot of speculation on the Real Madrid side, and we'll see what lineups look like tomorrow. But Benfica, they need to win this. They're 1-0 down in aggregate. They need to at least find a goal or win by a goal in order to force extra time. I don't know that Real Madrid are going to be that dominant in this matchup. I mean, they were pretty dominant, though. Benfica looked good for a lot of the matches. One stroke of brilliance, literally with Vinny Jr.'s right foot. Still, I think the better left winger on that team, but Mbappe takes penalties. And so there's been a lot of drama with Vinny, and I think that's caused him some problems and certainly not made him play his best. But to me at this point, Benfica are interesting. I want to see them get back to a 1 goal underdog. I feel like that move across one is pretty significant. We'll see if that ends up coming back. But that's my interest in this one in the 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. window. The first matchup, all of them played simultaneously, but at least first on our list. In terms of two advanced numbers, we have Real Madrid down to 1,200 to advance. I saw them at minus 1,500 earlier. I want to say today. So that number has moved pretty significantly, and I'm interested to kind of try to learn why that's the case. We'll see. I'm guessing an injury that I just am not aware of at the moment, but we'll certainly see how that all goes. But I'm interested there to say the least. I think there's, how do you say? I mean, I really liked that Benfica won the first time they played, and thought that there was, I mean, certainly the marketplace was expecting some good performance out of them. But I got to say, I was pretty impressed by Benfica in both matchups so far, and I think I'm probably leaning that way. If anything, if you got to pick a side here, I do like under 3, as I also think that Real Madrid are probably going to play a conservative style. That's what Arbeloa, their new manager, has done. That certainly reflects the first match day or first knockout leg, and ultimately with Jose Mourinho, who's one of the most defensive managers in the history of the world. And has had a lot of success with it. I think that's also very, very helpful, and will go in the right direction. So a move a lot cheaper for the favorite now, basically restoring what was initially seen. So I'm gonna have to check to see if those numbers were correct. But to me, there's been a little bit of buy-in on Real Madrid, and it's been bought back on Benfica. So I think we got a good one coming up in that 3 p.m. Eastern Time window. We'll move next to PSG hosting Monaco. Monaco going ahead 2-0 in the first leg, and then still losing at home. Now they got a big, big hurdle to get over, but could be done. Unlikely, but maybe Americans will score a bunch of goals again, like they did in the opener. Fuller and Balogun, excuse my cough. Currently, Monaco 1.75 goal underdogs, with all the juice on PSG, likely headed towards 2. PSG total is 3.75. Use more to the under by about 6 cents, minus 113 on the underside to minus 107 on the over. In terms of where the number has moved, it was 1.75 this whole time. We've seen some PSG money come in. I was expecting to get to 2, or at least get closer to 2. That's happened. We'll see if it gets there. And Monaco down 3-2 in aggregate, need to come back and win this matchup. Took a lead in the first minute. Was awesome. Took a 2-0 lead, but I mean, it's looking like one and done for Monaco, as they drew probably the worst team that they could. Though they do know PSG well, I think that helps them here. PSG don't have really a lot of reason to win by 2 goals. So when this gets to 2 goal favorites, I'm very interested in Monaco. I still like it now. Backed Monaco in the first leg, and that was a winner, half of a winner on plus 1.25. But I think we see, as we did in that opener, we saw PSG get bet, climbing quarters of goals, and that does make a big deal, as we can see with getting the good number. It really matters a lot. Two advanced number, gigantic on PSG, minus 5,000 right now, to plus 1143 on Monaco. That's an increase of 33% for Monaco, only being plus 762. So not a huge change there. I guess it's big, but PSG has gone from minus 1,700 to minus 5,000, a 66% difference. So not a lot of faith in the principality to turn this one around. Last but not least, we'll get to Juventus hosting Galatasaray in an absolutely disastrous first leg, which Juve saw a left back yellow carded and taken off at halftime because he should have been sent off in the first half, and then the replacement coming in and getting two yellow cards immediately. So now they have basically no left backs, I don't think at all, for this matchup, which is not great, but they're already down 5-2, so defense doesn't really matter. They need to score a bunch of goals and do it fast. And that's going to be the big question for me is, do we trust that to actually happen? Juve have been getting a ton of respect from the marketplace, though I don't think it's been deserved. I don't know that they have any idea better now how to play than they did under the previous five managers. Yeah, more than Pirlo because he was just a puppet figurehead. But at this point, that club is sick and it's not changing anytime soon. Current number, Galatasaray 1.25 goal underdogs, with most of the juice on the Galatasaray side. In terms of where this has been, it was 1.25 before, more juiced on the Galatasaray side. So we've seen some Juventus money coming in, which makes sense because they're down 5-2 on aggregate, need to somehow erase 3 goals to even force extra time here at home. Total in this one should be high. It is 3.25, which is juiced pretty heavily to over, but that's still pretty low. Was 3.25 before. We've seen some over money and some Juventus money coming in, but that's, I mean, should all be expected because they have to overturn such a deficit. I gotta say, Galatasaray, they honestly seem cheap with a 3 goal lead. Yeah, they're not playing in their home stadium in Istanbul, but like still, like what are we doing here? We've seen a little bit of money coming in on Juventus. Excuse me, on Juventus. So people are even betting them. So that makes me even more puzzled. But I guess here we are. And I gotta say, I just don't really see. I haven't seen it with Juventus. I've been betting against them a lot with mixed results, but I feel like it's been the right side for the most part. They get lucky, they get a goal, and they get a second and a third, and sometimes they look like a blowout and they haven't even played well. But to me, Galatasaray, I mean, they've spent a ton of money. The Turkish sides usually do that, but bringing Noah Lang looks really good. They've still got a lot of these well-known Premier League players. Victor Osimhen is one of the most dangerous attackers in all of football. So to me, I mean, the only way I could go in this one, I'm certainly, as anyone knows, longtime Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/real_G Warner, from my plays across all sports, including a big college basketball night tonight, which Baylor pretty much ruined, but we'll see how the rest of it goes. But Joe Dollar, longtime subscriber, loves overs and favorites, trying to get me on that side of the coin, which will never likely happen. But there should be a lot of goals in these matchups. And honestly, I like Galatasaray, but when they lose by 2 goals, they're celebrating and they're only 1.25 goal underdogs. So like that's not enough for me. So there's a lot basically on the line based on how this aggregate score line looks at 5-2. And that's probably enough for me to look away from it. But totals feel low in this round so far, and we'll see kind of what that ends up turning into. But got to say, I'm pretty interested in those sort of things. Ultimate best bet coming, but before we get there, I want to plug Europa League broadcast will be out tomorrow, going through the Europa League and their second legs of their match days. Still got a lot of those matches to watch, but I will be doing that, and I'm doing it kind of in the background as we record right now. We'll also be doing a Need for Seeds college basketball podcast with Big East Ben coming out this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Going through the big Saturday card. Likely we'll have A. Brooks Betts back after he had a winner in his debut this season. We'll see if we can keep that going as much as possible. Any tips, challenges, ideas, especially trying to get as much going and ideas content-wise for the World Cup coming up. My tickets just got canceled, which was brutal. Missed a deadline for paying. Thank you for my visa getting hacked by someone buying Pinterest ads in Ireland, and FIFA really just being a great organization that I totally respect, canceling my tickets when I couldn't even buy something because I didn't have another Visa card. So there we go. But anyway, we'll do a lot of World Cup action, probably group by group would be my guess, rather than big episodes, trying to do some smaller ones to see if that is better for the audience. Hit that subscribe button at the real_G Warner across all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. And it's now time for an ultimate best bet. So let's get into that. There's a couple of good options, I think. Probably most interesting to me, though, is a low-scoring game Real Madrid and Benfica. So I'll go under 3 as my best bet in that one. I think we see the special one and his protege. Pretty nice setup. And we saw very little goal mouth action. Honestly, just one Vinny Jr. attempt that kind of worked out very well for Real Madrid. The Bernabeu certainly sees goals more often than most places, or Real Madrid will score more there. But I don't even know necessarily that I'm that afraid of that environment. I think there's a good chance that Benfica goes in and really causes some problems here. Love them as an underdog too, especially because they have to win in order to advance. Yes, that worries me a little bit for a goal with an empty net late, but those things happen and don't happen too often. So I'll do it for this episode, and I'll see y'all real soon.